joining us from in the chat box. Put wherever you are joining us from in the chat box. Let's know whether it's Nigeria, in the US. In the US, let's just know where you are joining us from. We want you to keep the chat room lively and by chatting, tweeting, whatever any of our speakers will be saying tonight. Let's give them thumbs up. Use the emoji icons in Zoom to make this lively. And if you need to retweet anything tonight, any quote, any word, we want you to use hashtag IPEAAUI. Once again, the hashtag for tonight is hashtag IPEAAUI for any tweets or any quotes you want to share tonight. We want to move forward in the program. Like we said, in this program, there is no African time. The first remark will be taken will be our chairman's opening remark. And our chairman is one of the first sets of industrial engineers graduates from the University of Ibadan Industrial and Production Engineering by his name is Dr. Kabir Olajire. He works with the Ford Motors Company as a software planning and vehicle controls manager there from the UK. And he's with us right now. Ladies and gentlemen, I know we may not be able to open or mute our mics to welcome him, but we can use the emoji tags like clapping for him as a we welcome him to give us this opening remark right now.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, the moderator. Welcome to everyone, and happy Friday to you wherever you are in the world. Thanks for sparing your time with us. We are very appreciative of that. We're grateful for your company. As the moderator said, the topic of today is on the role of engineers post-pandemic. And pandemic became a word that we use often in 2020, and it's become a word since then that it's part of our dictionary now. Engineers played a key role during that period. One of the key roles was we laid the foundation that the frontline workers to do their job. So, and as engineers, I could recall in the company I work for, we were actively involved in preparing, manufacturing nose covers, face shade, and ventilators. So that was a period where I would say we had a common goal and everyone pulled together to resolve a common issue. So it's still with us, and we're gradually working towards getting out of it. So it is, I think, it's very good, as IPEAA has done, to organize this lecture so that we can get ourselves prepared for what are we going to do after everything has gone back to normal. How do we make ourselves relevant again? I could say landscape has changed. Most companies now work in hybrid version, whereby you spend some time at home working, then you go to the office. The company I work for, we used to have, I would say, standard working pattern whereby you go to the office, you have a desk, but not anymore. You book a desk before it's hot desking now. So some things we took for granted have changed. So that will change the way we engineers look at things, especially industrial engineers who want to redesign the work system and in order to optimize productivity of the inputs, input resources like work environment, labor, and so on and so forth. So I would say this topic we're going to be, the lecture we're going to be listening to today is very, very relevant, and we should do our best to learn a lot from it, take notes, and so that at least it becomes interactive at the end. We can ask many questions to the speaker, and the speaker, as the profile we show later, is high profile, highly experienced, is an industry leader himself. So we got a lot to learn from him. So on that note, I would say Thank you to the speaker for giving us his time, and thank you to the audience for sparing the time to join us as well. So the floor is open now. Thanks a lot for everyone. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Olajire, for that opening remarks. We want to quickly move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the special guest of honor's goodwill message, which will be taken by Professor O.A. Bamiro. He will be joining us later in the course of the program. And while we're going into the next session, and we'll be taking the citation reading of our speaker tonight, the CEO of EINSL, Engineer Ajibola Olajide. While the person who is going to take the citation is getting ready, I want to just say a few things about our speaker tonight. He is also an alumnus of industrial engineering. Is somebody that is a friend of the department. He has been his company is one of the companies that's always taken our students for industrial attachments. At least I have been working with the COS office for upward of 13 years now, and every year his company and what's the name, the company of our president, Alphamid, have always taken our students on industrial attachment. They are passionate about this. While I was doing my master's, he also came around to lecture in the department, and is also one of the people that spearheading our master's in engineering management course, selflessly driving this course. So he's somebody that is also versatile in the field. When I shared the post that he will be speaking, some of the alumni on the MEM platform, we're so happy that, they had a good time. The time he took us lectures during MEM period. And I know a lot of our students that are joining tonight, some that had opportunity of doing their IT there, will also be here testifying to that. Engineer Olajide is very, very versatile, and I know he's going to deliver to expectation tonight. I want to call on Engineer Mrs. Tayo Ogunjimi, who will be taking the citation for our speaker tonight. The floor is yours. You can share your screen right away. Please, let's welcome Engineer Mrs. Tayo Ogunjimi as she takes the citation of our speaker tonight.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Ma. You are welcome. We can hear you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. I'm coming. I want to share.
Please, can you put on
the screen?
Okay.
Yes, sir. I'm on. I'm sharing now. I'm going to documents and then I'll pick. All right. I'm there. Wow. Good evening, everyone. I'm here to share the profile of Engineer Ajibola Olajide. Engineer Ajibola Olajide is the Managing Director of Industrial and Automation Engineering Solutions and Drives Limited, Indons. He's also the CEO of the Default Group, Indons Limited, ESINL, USA, and the Default International. His education. Engineer Ajibola holds a BSc degree in Industrial and Production Engineering from the University of Ibadan. He also has a master's degree in mechanical engineering, manufacturing engineering option from the University of Lagos. He has a master's in business administration from the University of Liverpool, United Kingdom. I lost the sheet. Sorry, please. Okay. His working experience. Engineer Ajibola has worked with the Nigerian Industrial Development Bank industry as a project resuscitation engineer. He has also worked with the Half-Print Group as a maintenance planning and manufacturing system manager. He had worked with UAC as a territorial industrial and automotive manager in the tractor and equipment division. He has worked with the Blow Handle Limited as the executive director of operations. He has also worked with Eric's UK as the regional director of Africa. Passion. In fulfilling his passion for imparting knowledge and creating an emerging generation of engineering managers and entrepreneurs, he is a visiting facilitator of the University of Ibadan for the Masters in Engineering Management class. He's also a facilitator and mentor supervising new business projects and initiative at Faith Foundation Nation in Lagos. He's a member of the IT and Telecommunication Committee Institute of Directors. His achievements. Among his achievements since inception in 2006, the default group of companies has grown in competence in their designated fields of specialization, which includes instrumentation, flow process, and mechanical transmission engineering, welding and equipment services and supplies, respectively, wear control engineering and alloy technology for cement industries and oil and gas industries. Engineer Ajibola belongs to a number of notable organizations, namely the Institute of Directors, the British Business Group, the Nigerian American Chamber of Commerce, the Nigerian Society of Nigerian Engineers, the Nigerian Institution of Mechanical Engineers, the Nigerian Institute of Management. Engineer Olajide Ajibola is happily married with children. He enjoys traveling with family and playing golf in his leisure time. Please join me as we welcome Engineer Ajibola Olajide to the platform. Thank you.
Thank you very much, madam. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, my superiors, my lecturers. I'm so happy to have Dr. Olajire here. That was a person that actually took me through industrial engineering. We give glory to God. Thank you very much, sir. I will never forget you. My big guy is there, Dr. Oluleye, Professor Oluleye. Good evening, sir. My friends, Professor Olajire, Dr. Opadari, Dr. Kolawole, and all the others I can't mention, good evening. I'm so excited to be with you again today. I love my department and I will always do. We have won. I will proceed immediately to share my screen so we can proceed with the business of the day. Post-pandemic challenges and the role of the industrial engineer in the emerging world. Today, we talk about pandemic like my boss said. Can we see the screen, please?
Yes, we can see the screen. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I
We
see
can
the
see
slides.
screen.
Yeah.
We talk about the pandemic, like my Oga said, and the engineer, everybody is playing so many roles, a lot is happening, and we all feel, well, maybe we are just reacting. But there is a role we play. We actually, engineers, particularly industrial engineers, we have a big role to play here. The question to the IE is, how can my organization manage to survive, become stronger, and thrive as we create opportunities out of the pandemic? Because basically, this is a big question for the IE, because practically put, industrial engineering is a discipline that handles design, improvement, installation, integration of systems, people, materials, machinery, information, and energy. We combine a lot of things: this knowledge of engineering, the knowledge of science, and a lot of analysis in carrying out our work. And this is why we are very critical in playing the role of engineers in the current dispensation, especially when the pandemic happened and even now. The reality now is that there is uncertainty, continuous uncertainty. That has happened 2020, and it only showed the vulnerability of organizations, of the systems we have, and this calls for a continuous prodding and investigating our systems and working on how we can further improve on what we have. Suppose another pandemic comes. Pre-COVID, conventionally, industrial engineers, we work on organization design, workforce optimization, productivity measurement and improvement, simulation, modeling, system optimization, and design support. Then, primarily for optimizing enterprise resources, which drastically changed afterwards during the pandemic, to saving lives and businesses. I would like to take you through the background of the, let's look at it. When the pandemic happened, a lot happened. There was severe disruption. In fact, at some point, some of us in Nigeria felt maybe the world was coming to an end. And I remember about the same time, the issue of the introduction of the 5G came up, and so many things, and coupled with the travel restrictions and all that, everything was so bad then. Now, this disruption really created a lot of problems in the continuity of life, which has to do with the systemic working of everything, travel and movement of goods and materials, restrictions. I remember then we had to get special permits for companies that were considered as those in critical services, and they had to continue manufacturing. Our organization is in the service industry. We are an engineering services company, more or less. And to work, because we are not in the essential services, we had to get permits issued to us by the companies that are in the special category to be able to move around. It was very tough. It was very difficult. And even getting things to come in became a lot of issues. There was a lot of constraint to operations. Production, for people working in systems where production is 2 shift or 3 shift, 24 hours, for example, in the cement industry, it's 24 hours. And production had to be staggered because people cannot all come to work because materials are not coming. There was a lot of constraint to operations. There was a lot of scarcity of materials. There was a severe need for everybody to reinvent everything. I remember what Dr. Olajire mentioned earlier, that people had to start, okay, how can we continue working? Okay, let's start working from home. Let's do a lot of things had to happen. There were a lot of reformation in terms of the needs of families, of the community, of the countries, the individual countries. Everything changed. Travel, was it necessary? Is it compulsory? A lot of things changed. Now, this is the background of what we had. And it almost disrupted everything. This came with a lot of challenges. the supply chain disruptions had a multiplying effect, which was due to logistics issues. And one critical thing that happened then also was the fact that there was price reviews and production affected as well. And this was, for those in the industry, in the practical, in the industry where you have to deal with contracts and a lot of other things continuously, it was a serious disruption. Now, some industries are process-based. Disruption in some supply chain will mean the plants will completely close down. Because for some, maybe if you are working in a shop floor, it's easy, you can stagger your production, you can take some other things and do some other things. But for process lines, a shortage in a particular material needed at the stage of production means the complete line cannot go any further. So there was a lot of disruption, which resulted in a lot of shortages. There was project caps, projects that were scheduled that we're going to deliver this project by so dates, all that changed. Timeline disruptions affected by various regional and geographical restrictions in place. People cannot specialize, engineers, specialists could not come in to finalize on projects. Meanwhile, the classical issues of the past, namely dealing with versatile multinational teams when you are working in a big international company, organizing subcontractors, dealing with quality and safety, setting strategic goals and objectives, ensuring profitable operations, they were all still there. They still exist. They were there during the pandemic. They still exist now after the pandemic, and now they are more challenging for many reasons. Also then, mobilization of workforce to site was a problem. Training restrictions. There are some trainings that could be done with software. You can do it online. You can do it in the classroom, but there are some trainings that we do on sites, on job site training. Where you are required to demonstrate, train on the use of maybe some certain semi-automated machines. You need to have the guys try their hands on. You need to show how some materials react to a few things. It became very difficult to have such trainings as well. There were a lot of resultants for this. The way everybody reacted, the way the situation, the industry reacted, the way the populace reacted. There was intense competition. There was a serious aggression and struggle for every business to stay afloat. And everybody started thinking, what can we do? Companies started doing a lot of things. Dr. Lajire said they also started manufacturing nose mask, I can't remember what they call this thing they used to breathe when you are actually infected, and so many other things. Amazon added so many new lines. I mean, Amazon is one organization that I've seen where a lot of industrial engineering innovation has taken place. Before then, the way Amazon was doing business was completely changed, and Amazon saw a lot of thriving in the days of the pandemic. They introduced a lot of things in their deliveries and collections. They even went as far as creating marketplace for people, because markets were closed. You can go on your Amazon, put your product there, advertise, and then people can pick from it. 7-Up Bottling Company, for example, also became a company manufacturing sanitizers and so many other things. I was surprised when I also saw the way banking was changed. Before, we used to think banking has to do with you have to go into a branch, they have to know you, you have to do this and that. But in Europe, I just noticed there is a bank called Monzo. Everything is done online. You provide your ID, all your documentation for opening an account, you provide it online, you send it through, they verify it, and they open your account. You don't have to walk into anywhere. So people started thinking, how can we do things to survive? Because if they say there is no movement, then banks are not doing business. So you have to think of how can we continue to do our business, continue to do our banking without people having to come in because government restriction is in place. You have to think of so many things. All these are all engineering things that the average industrial engineer needs to look at and be aware of. I'm sure many of these things, we just get them passed by. I'm addressing the students now, get them passed by, but they're actually live situations that we need to take cognizance of. COVID-19 has helped engineering companies achieve radical transformations in a very short period of time, assisting engineering managers to understand that everything is possible. I'm sure if they told bankers before that you can have online banking, they would never believe it. How is this going to be possible? We need to verify. Banking is a very sensitive area. Is this, is that, it's about trust, but it's happening now. Documentations are now possibly verified online. Documentations are now coming with different barcodes to show authenticity and give a lot of information on them. So people don't readily have to bring it to the branches or to a physical bank. Apart from intense competition, there was a redefined pharmaceutical industry. Emerging new range of pharmaceutical products took place. COVID prevention and cure medication and intravenous products started coming out. COVID treatment products for infants and children, because that was the second level of dealing with the pandemic. The first one for the pharmaceutical companies was, how can we save lives? How can we save lives for adults, especially the challenged people, demography, which is the older people or people with some very severe ailments, which the COVID was killing in droves then. And then we see a range of, from the traditional cough, flu, diabetes, and all the normal products, pharmaceutical products, we see a continuous change and expansion of the wide net of products that are categorized as pharmaceutical products. Also, businesses started looking at changing their R&D. I mean, multinationals involved, particularly engineering companies, had to invest more in R&D for developing new technomedical products to fit the situation, to solve the problems of today. So a lot of things has changed. The dynamics of the industries has changed. And then there were innovations, there were technologies, innovations that were there before or were being developed before that were not put into serious use. This Zoom that we're using very well today has been there before 2020, but we don't really use it. If people use it, they were very few. And in fact, it was 2020, 2021 that the likes of Zoom, Google Meet, and the rest began to thrive more. So IT guys started putting all this innovation into use. Training for engineering managers, training for engineering students has also changed completely today. There is an initiative called Industry 4.0, which is formulating new trends in applied technologies worldwide, resulting in the need for constantly adapting educational to socioeconomic changes caused by the pandemic, challenge both the industry and the society in general. Today, as we talk and teach students about engineering, we have to bring in the human aspect, the human factor into it for the challenges we are facing today, because engineering is basically to solve human challenges. Artificial intelligence has come to play a significant role in reading manufacturing and enterprise of bottlenecks, replacing them with opportunities, eliminating unnecessary costs, reducing errors, improved predictive machine maintenance, information security, and time saving. Robotics. A lot of questions started coming into play. For those in textile, where we see a lot of, for example, where we see a lot of manpower. The question that came to play is how can we have manufacturing of textile materials without having so many people in the factories? And today, a lot of robotics are being used in robotics, and semi-robotic machines are being used, particularly in Europe, in the textile industries, where you find a textile plant that has only maybe 2-3 people running the whole factory. IT. I've just mentioned the Zoom thing. The use of advanced technology, software tools for remote meeting applications became a part of the engineering manager's daily lives. The management focus has also changed. There has been more emphasis by business owners on resilience and sustainability. National governments today are looking at more investment in infrastructure to facilitate recovery. Some people complain that the government of Nigeria was borrowing a lot of money. If you observe, you see that they're borrowing seriously to put infrastructures in place, though that has a question mark, because how do they secure or maintain this infrastructure that we are borrowing money to develop is another question for another day. But more investment is coming up. This governments are doing to facilitate their recovery from the COVID, to facilitate recovery of the society from COVID. For any government to introduce liquidity into the system or to make a country more prosperous, you invest in infrastructures whereby you have a lot of people, contractors, a lot of suppliers, a lot of many things will be needed for same to inject funds back to avoid serious inflation. Resource limitations is also one of the things that management focus on today and approach, and there is continuous uncertainty. And this is put into consideration on projects with competitors. You don't know what your competitor is thinking today. You have to be proactive, highly proactive. Everything is changing. And we don't even know what pandemic comes tomorrow. What will be the reaction of clients? What next do they want? A lot of people, everybody is on their toes trying to take an edge over the other. So management of organizations today, they have changed their approach, their focus in keeping their businesses afloat. The margin rules of engagement has also changed. Most government regulations on travel has changed. I'm preparing to come back to Nigeria now. I have to fill the same form we've been filling, permits to travel. We still feel that. And in different countries, there are different forms. Some, they will say locator or some other things. Then the conduct and the way you come into public places has also changed. I'm surprised when I was traveling about 2 weeks ago through the local airport, they told us we have to still use nose mask. And I was asking, I thought pandemic is over. They said, no, we have to use nose mask. And that was in Lagos. You're going into a federal medical facility, there are requirements today. Any public places where you have to, all this has changed from what it was before. Healthcare systems in many countries has changed. The way it's being handled is changing. I know that NHS in England is also changing a lot of things. A lot of review is coming up, especially with the pressure they are now having on need for more funding for remuneration of the staff. Health insurance schemes. Some businesses are into health insurance schemes. Today, they have to review what is in their health insurance scheme, because this is a system whereby a fixed amount of money is paid to them to take care of all health issues or needs of their clients with some medical retainerships. But with the advent of COVID, it has to be redefined. They are redefining all that. They are expanding their coverage, but at another added cost. Some are reviewing to reduce it to make sure they are not going to go bankrupt. Also, the work practices and HSC by multinationals and other organizations in plants has changed. There is a redefinition of what HSE is today. Certifications requirements are different, and the standard has also changed. So these are all the things that the pandemic has thrown up. Now, for the IE guy, where am I in all this? Why is the industrial engineer in all this? How can available resources be harnessed to our advantage for new innovations, process re-engineering and redesign, and profitable improvements that guarantee survival and thriving? This is where the IE is in all these things. How can I harness the available resources? Because I remember when I was having my IT at a place called Ferodo, a long time now. I think it was my second IT at 300 level. And one day, there was a consultant that comes to do some work, an engineering consultant. And after a while, the MD just came up one day and said, "Pack your things, Harry, and leave." I was curious. I went back to find out what is going on, what happened. The guy was putting in a lot of new things that was not practicable in terms of costs to the management for the company. To the MD, it was wasting their time. So IEs have to harness available resources within constraints in individual organizations, which are all different and vary from company to company, from organization to organization, to guarantee survival and thriving. It's not only to survive, but to thrive. This basically is a lot of introduction of new innovations and also process re-engineering and redesign. And given all the resultants that I've discussed, harnessing these resultant scenarios while identifying applicable individual industry resources constraints to the benefit of individual organization for competitive edge advantage over other industry players, utilizing the tools of our training, deploying knowledge of engineering. This is where the IE is. This is where our role, expectation for our role is. This is the demand on us. Facilitating a system that can fastly adapt to emerging technological advances that pushes economic manufacturing. This might be incorporating artificial intelligence, for example, into operations in advanced manufacturing, or simply sharing data and developing the digital traceability systems needed to build comprehensive resilience within an organization. This is one of the, I'm just trying to come up with all the likely areas, the scenarios, and places where the IE can play their role in the post-pandemic era. How can IE facilitate a system that can fastly adapt to emerging technological advances? I'll cite a good example. I will, for confidentiality, not mention the name of the organization. They have a manufacturing system that has about 216 rotors on each machine. So that is 216 sub-machines on a major machine. And they have 11 of those machines. Now, sometimes when it's difficult for an operator to go around, for one machine, to go around 11 machines. For one machine, you're actually looking at 216 sub-machines. Now, what the IE there has done is he has written a program. He got some IT guys to write a program and synchronize this with some instrumentation guys to monitor the activities on each sub-machine. The reason is because productivity of the entire plant is directly linked to the sub-machines. When one sub-machine is not working, it affects the overall productivity of that machine, that particular machine, from machine 1 to 11. So it's not like a sub-machine has a problem and it's not discovered until another 15 minutes, 10 minutes. It will have brought down the productivity level of that entire system. So the program is such that it wasn't something really special. They use people's brain to put the program together, and then they put in their instrumentation engineers, and we work with them to synchronize this to computer lines where someone is monitoring the progress with each of the equipment. So instead of having so many people going around in the plant, you have a guy seated in a room who is monitoring the percentage efficiency level of all the sub-machines. Maybe they spent a little more. So this is just an example. How can we trace faults? How can we do a lot of it? These are some of the things where the IE can play a good role. Let's harness all our knowledge, our understanding. Research. Sorry, I can't see mine. Research and system adaptability. In emerging industry trends. As an industrial engineer, I'm working in a factory. Pandemic has happened. Pandemic is over. What are the emerging industry trends? It's not only those in marketing who should be concerned about what is the trend. I remember I worked with a textile company called Halfprint. And at some point, the major challenge why most textile companies died was because they could not compete with products coming from China. Products coming from China are extremely cheap and of high quality. And the reaction of the management was, oh, let's invest in new machines. Let's go to the bank, take money, invest in new machines so that the quality of our products can improve, so that we can have machines that consume less energy. We don't have to run a 5 megawatts generating plant again. We can use something smaller once our machines are better. But a guy in strategic planning raised the question. He said, why don't we sit down and look at everything? And this is an area where an industrial engineer, I identified this, and I felt this is a good one, commendable to even share with my colleagues and friends someday. What happened was we brought the factory worker, the cleaner, everybody, we brought everybody together. We segmented them into groups and we interviewed them, how they feel we can do our work better. And I tell you, the answer came from one of the cleaners in the factory floor cleaner, who said, you see, sir, we noticed that a particular, some wool, some cotton, because we spin cotton into yarn, and we use this yarn to make the baft, which is the base material for the cloth, which we now print on. He said he noticed that a particular supply of cotton generates more waste. I mean, he's the one cleaning the waste than the others. And he's an illiterate. So we went back to observe after the whole thing, we gathered a lot of information. Some guys in utility said, if they can be switching off the lights on time, there were so many things, save energy cost, this, that. We gathered all the information. But the key one was about the cotton. So we conducted a study on the cotton. We get from Unguru, we get some from Malumfashi, we get from Zaria, from so many places, and from the Republic of Benin. We discovered that the one from the Republic of Benin is the one that generated less waste. So we eventually capitalized on using more of Benin, which reduced our waste, which was about 40% of the cotton we procure, and is an all-time consuming thing. You find hundreds of trailers, like 400 trailers waiting to offload into our factory then. That was drastically reduced. I mean, that was a long time ago. I'm talking of 2006. Now, what am I trying to say? Today, as an industrial engineer, wherever you are, wherever you are working, or where you aspire to work as a student currently, you need to keep asking yourself, what is the trend? What is the emerging trend? Now, I didn't finish the story. there was a material called elegance. If people can go down memory lane, there was an advert, now elegance, now elegance, now elegance. That was the product of our study. We found out we could achieve better fabric from that Benin that had less rejects, that had less problem, and the print on it goes so fine compared to the others. Now, that was a synchronicity between us and the marketing team, who said their products they are not doing well in the market because they are comparing us with the Chinese product. These are the feedback they get from them. So we transferred this feedback back into the factory. And this feedback was what we used in improving based on the knowledge also that we got from the textile technology guys who explained why the Benin cotton was better than the Malufashi and the Nguru and the rest. Now, you can see the role of the industrial engineer. Take marketing, information from marketing, take information from textile technologists, take information from the guys in utility and maintenance, put all of this together to apply to the trend in the industry. What is happening? Or you could be in another industry where today people are no longer, like I remember when this technology for vehicles came, and people will say, it's not good. I want the one for carburetor. People who drove in the 80s and in the early 90s, you know what I'm talking about. But guys coming from Europe, coming from the US, coming from all over already had injector, and they were running it well there. We work in the industries. What can we do to align with the trends today? We will not just sit down and say, yes, production is 2,000 tons per day. We are meeting production. We exceeded production. We exceeded our production target for the month. No, we need to go beyond that. We need to check and know what is the trend today. How can we improve on what we are doing? How can we make it better to be, not only to be in touch with the trend, and also to exceed the trend so that we can be ahead of our competition, utilizing our knowledge of knowing how to harness information from the different areas, engineering, marketing, and everything together. How can we improve or adapt to these new trends for economical and resultant high? Sorry, can't see. Oh. How can we improve or adapt to these new trends for economical and resultant higher productivity with minimal capex disruption? Remember what I said, to fix production and maintenance or service delivery. Reason is because no matter what you want to do as an engineer, as an industrial engineer, you must make sure introducing innovations is not beyond, is with minimal capex. I mean, practically speaking, with Nigeria as our, what we're looking at now. CapEx is a major issue, not just in Nigeria. I think it's all over the world, in all industries. And CapEx has to be approved maybe a year ahead from budget. So likely, maybe you are trying to introduce some new improvements. It might not be in the budget for the year you are introducing it, maybe for the next year or something. So whatever you have to do you want to improve on or adapt to new trends should be with minimal capex or disruption to fix production and maintenance. The moment you start introducing improvements that is affecting production, the MD or the manager is going to get disturbed. I remember even us as people working in the service industry, people don't want any disruption to their production. When you schedule maintenance, you must carry out the maintenance and finish by the date you promise you'll finish. In the cement industry, it's a continuous system. When they shut down, it takes an average of 3 days to build the temperature of the kiln back to the level to start production, which is a lot of cost of energy, a lot of disruption, and scarcity of cement is also an issue, which is forcing the price to go up every day. So they don't want us to say, okay, we're having shutdown maintenance, we are working on the crusher, and then we said 2 weeks. And then we say, because we are introducing something that saves them some money, it now extend to 3 weeks or 4 weeks. They're not going to have it. They're going to tell you, look, every day that my plan does not work, I am losing over $1 million in profit. So engineers have to carefully introduce, improve, or adapt to new trends economically, and making sure that it's with minimal capex. I mean, there are a lot of information we can go get by. I remember when we're in UI, running my project, Dr. Lajire told me something about research. He said that is the key thing for being able to arrive at a good project. I remember I then proceeded to go to some villages. My project was on process design, redesign, studying Gari manufacturing, how they make Gari locally. Now, I had to go back to those making Gari locally, understand how they make it. Then there was this program by Miriam Babangida for different local governments where they introduced some machinery to make Gari making easy for the women. I had to go to all those places as well, understand all that. Then I had to now go to the industry where they make mass production of Gari. From my interview with those people and what I saw where they felt they were already advanced, I was able to come up with something which I put together for my project and submitted it. And this is what engineers should always do. Industrial engineers should always do. We need to, in this new emerging trend, we need to research. We need to, this will help us in introducing bits and bits of improvements. There is an airline called SAS. And for like consecutive 5 years, they got the best airline in the world, award in the world. And when their CEO was interviewed, he said, well, we didn't improve things 100%. We only improved 100 things by 1%. So in the system you work as an IE, in the industry you are going to find yourself when you start working. What are the things you can improve that can reduce cost of production, that can save the organization some funds? What can you add in your service delivery and in the activities? Process review and re-engineering design. Today, the IE needs to, like I just stressed, where you're working, what's the process flow? Can we redesign it? Can we look at it? That's actually the role of, one of the key roles of an IE in organizations, in plants, in industries we service, they carry out maybe service delivery, or where you are, maybe you are working at the airport, you are scheduling flights and all that. How can we improve on the process flow that we're running? Because you see, in these days of pandemic, in the days after pandemic, uncertainty is the constant thing. And also we have to match this with constant review, constant redesign, constant prodding, constant questioning of the status quo. The contractors we have, let's look at their terms of contracts. Can we change a few things? Can we look at what saves money? Can we look at what reduces time for them to deliver? Can we invite them and see areas of challenges whereby it's affecting them not to meet up with deliveries well? If you are in supply chain, or maybe you find yourself in procurement, maybe you're having some rejects from your contractors. The work they do for you, there are rejects. What is causing these rejects? How can you help your contractors? Or what are the things you need to do, the terms you need to introduce to make your contractors sit up, to make your contractors do the work better? Then how can you ensure that it's not too late before corrective measures are taken? Currently, what we do, is there anything that we can do without that? We don't have to. Do we need to have this? We don't need this. If we can eliminate it, save time, save cost, and then we shorten the process. Then innovations, the services we deliver. What are the things that we can add or we can do better than the way we are doing it? These are some of the areas and the questions where the IE finds himself to answer. The healthcare engineering products, I cannot talk, but also talk about this. Continuous innovations and redesign in healthcare engineering products is going to be a continuous thing. From learnings of the pandemic and the potential ones in future, engineers find themselves today being directly linked with healthcare. Apart from chemical engineering and people in biochemistry, there is a lot that the engineer has to do. Today, I remember when the pandemic happened, there was this thing they said they put for people to breathe. And in Nigeria, they discovered that that thing killed more people, actually all over the world, than saved their lives. Investments in R&D has increased in the areas of these products to make them better. And also, how can we prevent and treat diseases? What engineering are we providing that can fight some of these disruption-causing pandemics? Because we don't know what will happen. They've discovered some other things. They've discovered some things in some places. Lately, they've been talking about monkeypox, which we hope is not going to become a major thing. How can we redesign some of the things we do such that we minimize touch, we minimize contacts? For people working in the plants, in the factory and all that. These are all going to come up. New engineering products, medical engineering products. If you're in such an industry, you need to start looking at how can I bring in one innovation or the other. Innovations come from need, from challenges. Who are going to be the winners? Winners are going to be organizations with resilient supply chain. Supply chain is a very critical thing. It's a very, very critical part of the whole manufacturing process, of the whole service delivery process. In fact, supply chain, you cannot do without that in engineering as a whole. From the aircraft manufacturing to automobile industry to oil and gas, a resilient supply chain system will make you a winner any day. I'm still coming to talk about this. Solid finance. During the days of the pandemic, and even till today, a lot of businesses are still struggling to come out of it. The winners of the future will be people with solid finance, businesses with solid finance, and who know how to use it. It's not enough to have solid finance. When I mean solid finance, I'm having a pool of wealth of funds to do the job and know how to apply the funds. Skilled employees, better skilled employees will make the organization win in the post-pandemic days. It is very key. Organizations have to invest more in skilled employees, and also us as IEs, we need to invest more in ourselves, in getting more knowledge, in knowing more. Invest a lot in the understanding and knowledge we have about things. As an industrial engineer, a few of us attend what we call a kind of where we have fairs about engineering, conferences, to know what is happening, what is going on, update ourselves. I enjoin us to join a lot of organizations or groups that ideas are shared, innovations in industry are shared. This is a form of training that makes you better skilled engineer, apart from what your organization is going to provide for you on the job or outside the job. The key one, the capability to acquire, analyze and apply relevant data to decision making will make an IE and his company a winner any day. We have a lot of information flowing around us. Many people don't even use them. Many people don't even know what they are for. They just see them and then they just react immediately to it, and that's the end of it. An immediate reaction to information is not the key. The key is identify relevant information first. Acquire the information or set a system that acquires relevant information, analyze the information, and apply it for decision-making from the management level down to the last person. I know I'm running out of time. Our experience, I mentioned supply chain. We had to re-engineer supply chain for us completely. The first thing we realized during the pandemic was, for the companies that we service, the industries, they were very disturbed about not having to work or having situations. For example, the liquefied natural gas plant. The plant was running throughout the pandemic. There was no stopping, but there were fewer people coming to the office. Everything was run from remotely. However, there were parts that need to be used. There were services to be rendered. We had to go back and look at how can we support our clients better. One of the things we realized was, okay, if there is a job to be done on something and they've given us clearance, we've provided our COVID job certificate and all that for the people coming for the job, the parts might not come, or the parts might not be in stock because we carry quite some inventory and all that. And unfortunately, sometimes some of these spares are very expensive and they are what takes a long time to get. And some of them are also one-off. It's not what you want to keep. So one of the things we had to do was to sit back and say, let's redefine our core areas. Who are our core areas? What are the core areas of our competence? And then let's make our inventory planning around this. So we enhanced our inventory base. We had to increase it. We had to increase our inventory level. And we had to introduce what is called VMI, Vendor Managed Inventory. This we did in conjunction working with the industries, our clients, by sharing a lot of information, knowing what preventive maintenance will be carried out at certain time, knowing when, having a full information about the plant, or having a plant survey that tells us when certain equipment were installed, and using the predictive maintenance tools to know when likely those will fail. So with that, we were able to create an enhanced inventory level, which we had agreement that, okay, our stock will be your store. You don't have to carry that, because we are afraid at the same time, if we stock these expensive things and then they don't need it. So to assure you, we are not going to have it again at all. So we manage their inventory on their side. So today we have sites in many of these places with stores, which stores are for us, but for them at the same time. They access it for all they need. Mind you, this is for a few selected industry that we have zoomed in on, that these are the areas that we're going to. So we've done a lot in this area. I won't go into much details about that. For supply chain re-engineering, we had to re-engineer our working capital. I mean, to have more enhanced inventory level, that means you are putting a lot of working capital on hold for use on this. However, if you are increasing your inventory, you need to look at where you can reduce also. So we went further to reduce our operating expenses. We cut a lot of things. We asked ourselves, do we need a big office? What do we do? We need warehouse, we need workshop, we work on sites. So we don't need to have a very big office. So we separated the offices from the warehouse, moved the office to a smaller place, and then invest more, concentrate more on warehouse and workshop. Then training. One of the challenges we had also was, there were some jobs that when we do them, we need to bring a specialist in. We have one or two expatriates working with us, but there are some specialized jobs that you need to bring the expatriate in to do the job and go back. They also, while they are doing this job, we take the opportunity also to train our local engineers. However, when we realize sometimes you might not get permit to have the guy come and do the job, we had to start thinking of how can we use virtual training techniques for installation for maintenance? How can we get a kind of adaptation and certification of local engineers, Nigerians, to do some of these things that they always tell us we need somebody who will come from UK or from US to come and do for us. So we realize training is also an area that will help us to live after the pandemic very well. And documentation is also a key one. We started the process of detailed documentation on every rectification and corrective maintenance jobs that we have carried out for adaptation and future programming. Likelihood of putting this on the program so that it does not have to be specific people who are skilled or trained in it. And an engineer with basic knowledge can go on the system, access the program, and be able to carry out the role. So this is our own experience. Some of them, actually, what we have done, and we still have a long way to go. We have a lot to improve on because every day we have competitors. Every day, a lot of things are happening. A lot is changing. Even our clients, they are having challenges every day. The key one today is constraint on resources, funds. I share some of my references with you. I'll make this available for further reading to the coordinator of the program. Thank you very much.
Oh, can we give Engineer Ajibola a round of applause for that well thought out and well delivered lecture? Please, can we just give him a round of applause? You can use the icon, like I said earlier on. You can use the emojis to give him a round of applause. Thank you so much for sharing your wealth of experience with us. And before I call on the chairman to give his remarks, I just want to quickly say that recently one of us, an IE, also developed an innovation device that helps healing of ulcers. Just to talk about what Engineer Ajibola emphasized in the area of medical, health services. One of us did an innovation which was awarded. The award was given to is one of the 19 participants that was awarded recognition by the Minister of Science and Technology recently. The equipment helps to aid healing of ulcers and wounds that would have led to amputation of knees. We know we as industrial engineers, we bring innovation into we bring productivity into the work system. I want to call on the chairman to please give his remarks concerning the just delivered lecture. Thank you so much, sir.
Engineer Olajide, thanks a lot. You know what? I've been taking notes and to be able to digest myself, and I believe all my friends online who are taking notes, especially the students, as to what is expected of them as industrial engineers. The talk has given us some history with respect to pandemic, the industries affected, right from logistics to pharmaceutical and to manufacturing. I'm in the manufacturing, as I said before. Ford is a global company, but the pandemic shut Ford down. There was no manufacturing for some time. The only thing they thought of was, how can we support the frontline staff, the medical staff, to save people's lives? So the key people are brought in to make masks, to make ventilators, to make face shield. And that's, I would say, engineers, industrial engineers at work. So with the industries affected, and I don't know what happened in Nigeria, but in the UK here, government supported most of the companies. So they were paying salaries for almost 2-3 years, although at a reduced rate. while employees were not doing anything. So it's like a free cash every month. The strategy was that they didn't want the companies to lay off the staff, because once you lay them off, that's done. And government said no. That would be it was a political decision to say, let's pay the company to keep them on their book, so that at the end, when everything becomes normal, they can continue to be in that book and these people continue to pay tax to the government. Now we're gradually getting out of there and things have changed, landscapes have changed with respect to not many people are coming to the office anymore because they can work easily from home. And companies are saving money on utilities, on spaces. And they now think, okay, if we are able to save all this money, the next phase is, do we need all these people? You get what I'm saying? So what I was, as engineer Olajide said, we as industrial engineer, we have a key role here. And that key role is as process designer, analyzing process to be able to see where the fats are, where can we save fat to make a company more profitable. He gave an example of a company whereby the consultant came here and started introducing new things that will cost the company money. And the managing director said, or chief executive said, no, we don't need those ideas. You get it? So in a way, engineering was telling us to say, as industrial engineers, we should always think outside the box. It's not buying new equipment that will be the solution most of the time. It could be all the resources in there. Which one can we optimize the utility of it? An example of was given of half-print, whereby it was a cleaner that highlighted that we're having a huge amount of, a more significant amount of waste for a particular type of wool. Is that kind of a thing, as industrial engineer, we have to be looking at post-pandemic? And it's very, very important. Engineer Olajide mentioned Amazon. During pandemic, they made a lot of money. Why? People at home, bored, buying a lot of things over the internet, and those things will have to be delivered. So Amazon put processes in logistics in place to be able to feed the need of those people. So we'll find ourselves in various industries. So we need to be thinking of how do I analyze the process in industry in order to be able to achieve the objective and at the same time improve their profitability. And it's not easy to do because you may have to talk to a lot of people. You may have to tap from a lot of people's experience as well. And that is where industrial engineers come in. We are a data-driven discipline. You cannot go to an executive or a manager to say, I want to spend 10,000 pounds or 10,000 to buy something. You need to justify it, why you need that amount of money. Cost benefit analysis. This is what I'm going to get if I spend this much. So as a result, we need to tweak our thinking into data generation. How do I generate data? We look at some things every day that we don't see as data, but they are data. We need to recognize the definition of data. Data can be qualitative. It could be quantitative. As industrial engineers, I think possibly we'll focus on quantitative most of the time. We need to be thinking qualitative data as well, as to how do I define some parameter in a qualitative way. And that could be the reason, the support network and support data you need to justify anything you want to introduce. Engineer Olajide mentioned process re-engineering stroke design, profitable improvement that guarantees survival and thriving. Because we're getting to the stage now whereby companies want to cut fat. They don't want to spend more money. What they want to do is, how can we most utilize what we've got at the moment and to increase our profitability level? It's a competition. It's dog eat dog out there. You're fighting for survival. So we need to be thinking of that. Harness available resources within organizations to make it more profitable. He emphasized that. Facilitate a system that can fastly adapt to emerging technological advances. Before pandemic, meeting is you gather yourself together in one room and be discussing issues or have your meeting. But now you don't have to travel. the number of people on the platform now are different parts of the world: United States, United Kingdom, Canada, Nigeria, South Africa. So we're scattered. This wouldn't have been possible before, or at the level we're using the technology now, we wouldn't have had that opportunity. But the necessity had forced us to rethink the way we do things. So as a result, as industrial engineers, we need to be thinking of, just think outside what you're seeing. Think outside what you're seeing. There was an example that Engineer Olajide gave about virtual training for engineers. I watched an advertisement here. This advertisement was about a technician sent out to go and fix an issue, maybe with a customer. When he got there, what he saw, I'm talking about an electrician here. What he was shown in the book was red is danger, blue is the heart, and so on and so forth, different colors of the cables. But when he got to the place, the station that was described to him was different. So what did he have to do? Go back to the office and tell the manager to say, you know what, all these things you told me before I left, they're quite different. These are the pictures of the installation there. So, and start afresh. But the technology enhanced that training. While the guy was there, they were having a Zoom talk, showing his manager in the office the installation at the place he went. And the manager was now able to take the new manual, the manual now instructing him on what to do. So basically what we're trying to say here is, we look at technology, available technologies to be able to enhance whatever process improvement we want to put in. So I wouldn't take your time anymore or regurgitating what Engineer Olajide has already told you. As he said, he will provide the lecture material to the coordinators so that you can have access to them. But one key thing I want to emphasize is industrial engineering is a data-driven discipline. It's a very data-driven discipline. If you look at definition of it, we analyze systems and we design systems. When we say analyze, we break it down into bits to know the different parts of it, to understand the interaction, in order to put them together. Again, that is designing those different components to deliver an objective. We don't focus on a specific part of that system. We look at the system entirely. We look at every bit of it that deliver the objectives. So as a result, for my colleagues online, the younger ones, I'm not talking to the experienced one, students online, please develop into your DNA to say, I'm learning a data-driven discipline, and when I go out there, I'll be making data-driven decisions. So you need to be thinking of every decision you find yourself, how do you collect the data first? How do the different aspects of the system, how do they interact to be able to create the objective, deliver the objective for that system? So I wish you good luck. I hope you've benefited from the lecture tonight, and I've benefited from it. So without taking too much time to give other people to be able to contribute to the discussion, I think I will stop here. Thank you, the moderator.
All right, thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We really appreciate you, Dr. Olajide, for that brief summary of the lecture. If we want to take a few questions for our guest speaker tonight. If we have questions, just put Q in front of your question so that in the chat, if you want to type, just put Q. And if you could raise your hand, just use the hand raise symbol there so that we will know you want to ask a question. We want to employ everyone. Please still stay on. There's still much to learn from our resource guest speaker tonight. And I said earlier on that Dr. Engineer Olajide is a friend of the department who has also sacrificed from time to time to give lectures in the department. And I want to pin one of his sessions with us for us to see him delivering the lecture during one of the sessions in the department. That was Dr. Olajide, guest speaker, speaking to, I believe these are MEM students in one of his sessions. All right, I can see your hand, so I will start with those who have their hands raised. I can see Engineer Olusegun Afolabi. Please kindly unmute, and the floor is yours to ask your questions. And if your others have questions, kindly post it in the chat room so that we can have you your question. Over to you, Engineer Segun Afolabi. Thank you so much, sir.
Hello, how are you, sir? Can you hear me?
Very well,
yes,
sir.
I can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay, that's very great. This is very interesting, very nice. I really enjoyed the lecture. The chairman did a wonderful thing. The host also did a very wonderful thing in packaging everything together. This is what it takes to be an industrial engineer. I think what I have is more or less like comments from what I listened to. The first one is from Dr. Olajide Ajibola. Rather for Dr. Kabiru Olajire during the opening remark. He said, and I quote, that suppose another pandemic comes, what do we do? No, one pandemic has already gone. Now, but what I have in mind is the second pandemic is already ongoing. It is the war between Ukraine and Russia. Definitely, it looks like a world war. During the first pandemic, people were, indoors. Food was not easy to get by. There was hunger in so many countries, especially Nigeria, unlike developed countries where they have been taking care of themselves. However, industrial engineers could have an opportunity to develop things and change the scenario. Why is it that United Nations, up till now, could not assist Ukraine seriously? So many people are dying. So many innocent people in the world are hungry because of opportunity to have gas, opportunity to have things that will be used to make bread, and so on like that, because those things are always coming from Ukraine and Russia. So now, probably in the next event, I would love industrial engineering unit to come up with probably a solution. If something like this comes up, how can individuals, especially industrial engineers, come to assist the world? I know that we have the tools as it works. So that is about that. For me, what I did during that time could be very, very interesting because we were at home. We couldn't do anything. Fortunately, I bought a piece of land a long time ago, and I didn't know what to do with it. I built a house. I wanted to use it for mini estate, but it was just lying there. Then I called some people from my estate, some youth and all the rest like that. We turned it into a mini agricultural farm. I'm telling you, I'm right inside there now. I have an office there, and that is where I'm actually taking this Zoom meeting. Inside it, during that time, I was able to plant almost everything I needed. Snails, potato, yams, vegetables, pawpaw, pepper, name it. And I was taking it out from time to time. So that is industrial engineering, the way we are trained. We are not supposed to relax and continue to suffer. So thank you very much. This is the little that I wanted to contribute. I appreciate the presenter greatly.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Do you want me to
have a question?
React or wait after the whole question? Then I will react.
Okay, sir. I would want us to take the next question since Engineer Folabi just gave more of a comment. So, but we have some questions in the chat room that I wanted to quickly react to, sir. The first one person asked that what's the full meaning of CAPEX, sir?
Capital expenditure.
CAPEX.
Capital expenditure. It's in organizations you have recurring expenditure. I mean, if you're an engineering manager, the amounts they are budgeted monthly to pay your salary of your staff for the spare parts you need to do your job and all the fuel or engine oil and all the things you need in the workshop and all that. However, CAPEX is say, okay, I want to have a new automated machine that will, for example, there's something we call a clean room, a manufacture of seals, a clean room, where there's nothing there. It's like a container, but it's a complete manufacturing equipment and plant. That will probably cost like maybe $500,000. Okay, for such, it's a CAPEX because it's a capital intensive thing. It's not just a recurring little amount, it has to be planned for. So that's the meaning of CAPEX, capital expenditure.
All right, thank you, sir. The next question says, I think it's from one of our students, Luatoson Gudimo, says, given the emerging challenges and opportunities in the world now, how can current students be trained beyond the theoretical and be given 21st century industry specific skills that can solve problems in the workplace?
Well, one very good way that students can be trained in a manner that will solve problems in the workplace today is what I mentioned in my presentation, that as students and as engineers working in plants or in the field or anywhere, we need to keep updating ourselves. We need to form the culture. I mean, we're engineers. We need to form the culture of living engineering. Journals, read journals, there are a lot of online journals, there are a lot of materials, like the Industry 4.0. The first time I heard about it, I was like, wow. And you know, this is one of the things that I will encourage students and engineers to keep doing. It's a way of training that will just position you in such a way that you are abreast of what is happening in the industry. You are abreast of what's happening in the engineering profession. And apart from what your employer trains you on, or what traditional training you get yourself, maybe you're doing something on project management or the other, or masters or whatever, the field professional training is the key one. And with this, anybody that is abreast of the industry happenings will be able to react so fast in the emerging world. And that's what is very needed for the next level. For students, there are student schemes for joining Institute of Industrial Engineers, Institute of Electrical Engineers, Institute of Mechanical Engineers, and there are so many bodies. There is engineering today. There are so many areas, not just within Nigeria, but all over the world.
Okay, sir. I have a question for you, sir. Okay. One of the key words in your presentation that has re-echoed is the word resilience. And I think it's not only businesses that need to build resilience. How do we as industrial engineers build resilience in ourselves to be able to cope with challenges? I went to quickly look at the word because these days I don't want to assume I know the meaning of words. So I quickly Googled the meaning of that word. It says The word resilience means the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties. And I can tell you, we all go through difficulties from time to time. What are the things we need to build that helps us to build that resilience in us to bounce back from difficulties? We are all going through one thing or the other as businesses, but also as individuals. How do you think, what are the things we need to build in ourselves to quickly bounce back or build that resilience into us? And you can also stretch it to businesses and organizations, though you've emphasized it, especially on the area of supply chain. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yes. You see, as individuals, up to industries, companies, as a nation, resilience is a very needed virtue today. Whether you're working as a team player in an industry or whatever, the way things are going, we need to form the habit of being able to react fast to situation. Response time now is very, very key. And this is possible by always questioning the status quo. Even when you are comfortable today, you are having your production, everything is going on well. But tomorrow, suppose I was telling someone, I said, your inventory is huge. You are in an industry where the trend changes from time to time. Are you abreast of, suppose the trend changed, you might end up having so much in your stock that nobody wants. That you need to have a system that gives feedback. There is a feedback system that we need to set in place, whether as individuals or as industry. Now, as an individual, you are an engineer, suppose pandemic happens again. What are the learnings from the previous pandemic? What are the things that happened to you that you didn't like? What are the things that exposed you, made you vulnerable? Have you taken care of them today? Suppose they happen again. My Yoruba peoples, apologies to those who are not Yoruba about say it in English. They say, the meaning in English is previous bad experience should not repeat itself. It should not happen. So what are the learnings from the pandemic? What were the things we did not like? Have we taken care of them today? I'll tell you, one key one for me, why you realize you don't have any other place to go, except you are ready to pack up from the world, is to say we don't have an option than to win. When the pandemic happened, actually before the pandemic, there were a few things that challenged our existence. But the thing to us was, we cannot but survive. And we had to call ourselves together when the pandemic happened. In Nigeria, like Dr. Lajire said, or like what happens in the UK and the rest, there was no government support whatsoever. But the question we ask ourselves is, I have staff, we work like a family in my workplace, within the group, both default and indoors. And we have just 2-3 people in the US here. But for us, we work like a family. This is the situation. Work has not gone on. Nigeria was shut down for like 3-4 months. We were not working. But while we're not working, when we get the permit to carry out some essential work in certain places, some of our staff were going to work. And to me, in my own understanding, we have very good staff. We have very good people. The question was, guys, how do we survive this? I don't want to ask the management to start considering laying off anybody. What do we do? And then we decided, well, we're going to shave our salaries to a level for sacrifice so that nobody goes. And then we're all going to put in our best. Now, if pandemic should happen again, everybody is positioned to know what they have to do. Selfless and, that is the key thing. To survive the next pandemic, to be resilient, we need to learn from what has happened before, take cue from the learnings of the past and plan to mitigate against it. This is my answer. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for your response. I believe that will be all the questions for now. We have a goodwill message from one of our former deans, Professor Kolawole Ogedengbe, who is the former Dean of Technology. Sir, if you are here, can you please unmute and let's have your goodwill message, sir. Oh. Oh, all right. I think probably might be having network issues and is dropped off the call. Okay, we will want to give Dr. Engineer Olajide 1 minute to give his final remarks since Prof is no longer on the call.
Thank you very much, sir. You see, today the challenge for IEs, because I'll say challenge for IEs because if we don't do it, nobody else does it. I always tell people that that's the best engineering as a study you can have. Mechanical is good. Civil engineering is good. The rest are all good. But an IE is actually the manager of all the other engineers. He puts all the knowledge of all this together to make impact in the industry, to make impact in the society, to have value. Systems design that does not take cognition of, a thermodynamic system design that does not take cognition of the application to human use is nothing. So I want us to understand our position. I want us to appreciate our position, see where we are cited, and make use of this. We need to wake up to our role, which is we are the coordinator of all engineering knowledge to make impact, achieve profitable production, make better life for people, because it's all about better life. I remember we studied tablets in 300 level then, which is about systems and how accessibility and all that. It's part of it. I want us to know that we are the problem solver in the engineering profession. And please, knowledge is the key thing. Let's keep getting knowledge, keep asking questions, sharing ideas, and I'm sure we will definitely get there. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, sir. Want to quickly make a few announcements before I call on the representative of the HOD for the closing remarks. Once again, we want to say thank you for your time, and please can we once again give Engineer Olajide a round of applause once again. Then just a quick announcement, the next lecture series, which will be in January, which will be communicated to us, the topic we'll be considering is engineering a nation, our collective role in nation building. Engineering a nation, our collective role in nation building. And that lecture will be delivered by Engineer Olumuyiwa Oluleye, and which promises to be another interesting time. Please, let's look forward to it. Let's look forward to it. Let's share. Let's invite our friends. I want to thank everyone who has stayed on the call up to now. Once again, thank you for coming. Thank you. This is a forum for us to continue to learn and refresh our minds. Professor Oluleye always says that the half-life of an engineer is 3 years. And I can tell you these days it's less than 3 years. Most of us, the moment you leave school, you are taken totally off industrial engineering, life happens and all that. And we tend to have forgotten a lot of the things we've said. I think Engineer Olajide has emphasized the need for training and retraining, refreshing our mind, attending conferences. And this is one to keep us in touch with our roots and to also continue to refresh our minds as engineers. I want to call on Dr. Kolawole to give the vote of thanks on behalf of the acting HOD, Dr. Mojisola Bolanewa. Over to you, Dr. Kolawole.
Thank you for another time in this lecture series. I'm giving this vote of thanks on behalf of the acting head of department, who is unavoidably absent today. Again, we want to thank our guest speaker for doing another wonderful job. This is third in the series of this lecture, and all of them, none had disappointed us. We want to thank you for giving this lecture. And as we said before, one of our aims is to ensure that our alumni are together and active. We keep on sharing ideas, keep on relating with one another, keep on learning from one another. And I believe what we have done today has done justice to that again. We also want our students to know that there is something in store for them. We are using this lecture to create room, opportunities for them to interact with their alumni, with what they are doing and how they are faring. And the experience they are also sharing can also energize them to know that the field they are in is a very good one. They will see role models interacting with the people who are already gone through what they are going through now, and also seeing that what the future lies ahead. So while they can learn from their alumni members, they will know the challenges that are ahead of them, and also give them hope that there are opportunities. Because of what our alumni are doing, they will know that in spite of the challenges that may seemingly to be ahead, there are opportunities inside the challenges from which they can tap on. And I know, I'm persuaded that from one thing or the other that the alumni are sharing, they will know that they will be learning one thing or the other, which from there, it can build them for the future. I'm sure our students are hearing this, and their continuous participation in this lecture series will also be a great help for them. We want to thank our guest lecturer once again, and I want to thank our chairman, Dr. Olajire. I think earlier this week we were having some form of interaction. I was saying that he's the teacher of everybody who was in that forum. We want to thank him, sir. Yes, all our teachers. He taught me in 300 level to 500 level. Thank you, sir, for all that you imparted. I know Professor Adoku was saying that
and he's still with us. Thank you, sir.
Professor Adoku was saying that while he was at OAU in the undergraduate days, Dr. Laji was always there to come and shut them up. And one of the things he did then enabled him to come to industrial engineering here in UI. Thank you very much, sir, for sparing your time. And for all you have been doing for us in the department. We want to say thank you. We want to thank our guests, other guests. I was seeing Professor Ogedegbe. He was with us throughout the lecture. I wouldn't know what happened when he was about to make his speech. I was seeing him all around. Professor Ogedegbe is a very good friend of the faculty, of our department when he was the dean. Perhaps our department was the second home in the faculty. So we want to thank him. We thank all our alumni as well for all that you are doing to support the department. Your activity over there is giving us a lot of encouragement that the department will continue to move further. So I want to say a big thank you to everyone, to the students there. Thank you for attending, and I hope you're going to encourage others who have not been consistent in this lecture series. I should look forward to another time, early January. So we pray that all of us, God will be with us, take care of us, and we'll see the end of the year safely in the name of the Lord Jesus. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Oh, thank you so much, Dr. Kolawole, for that vote of thanks. This is saying thank you to everyone once again for being a part of this lecture series tonight. We want to wish you a Merry Christmas and a prosperous 2023. Let's keep on pushing the frontiers of knowledge. Let's keep on pushing the frontiers of industrial engineering to greater heights for everyone. I want to personally wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year on behalf of my family. We hope to see more of you, and please, let's keep sharing this knowledge. Let's keep making the impact. Nigeria needs innovators, and I believe we are the ones that the nation is looking forward to. We have a great tool in our hand, like Dr. Olajire has said. We're a data-driven discipline and providing data-driven solutions. And let's make that happen, and let's make the world a better place. I want to wish you a lovely evening. Thank you for being a part of this lecture tonight. This is the third in a series, and we look forward to greater ones even in the coming year 2023. God bless you all, and do have a lovely evening. You can still be on the call, chat with your old classmates, look for those you've not seen before. The floor will be open. You can all unmute your mics and greet each other. Thank you, and God bless you. Have a good, lovely good night.
Good night, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you to the organizers.